Hey Blessed family, it's your girl Bella. Welcome back to my channel. I said this in my last video, but different lighting, different background. I am back home in Dayton, Ohio for the Christmas holidays. And also, ignore my Christmas PJs peeking out. I am filming this on Christmas Day. But today I want to talk about all the books that I DNF'd in 2022. So if you do not know what DNF means, it means did not finish. I am not a notorious DNF'er. I don't DNF a lot of books, but I did DNF 6 books this year because I was reading them and they were awful. And I just feel like if I know while I'm reading a book that it's gonna get 1 star or 2 stars from me, like, why finish it? These books just weren't worth finishing to me. A few of them were soft DNFs, but I want to go through all these books with you all. So this video was inspired by another YouTuber named Mayana or Mayokor. I'll definitely link her video down below if you want to check it out after this one. Originally I wanted to do a video where I like finished all the books that I DNF'd, but I thought about it, like, that's gonna put me in a reading slump, and also it's gonna take me forever to film that video because I am not gonna be enjoying any of the books. So I saw her film this. I figured it's a much better idea about how to discuss and talk about the books I DNF'd this year. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first book I DNF'd this year was Kiss My Cupcake. This book is by Helena Hunting. I DNF'd this book at 33%. This book is about 2 characters. We have a guy and a girl. The girl owns a cupcake business, and right next to her is a guy who owns a axe throwing business. So they're throwing axes in there. It's super loud. It's always disturbing her cupcake ambiance that she has going on. So she like kind of hates him. So it's kind of like enemies to lovers, but they're not truly enemies. She just kind of despises the fact that he's messing up her vibe, and he's always like, this little girl in her little cupcakes and her little cupcake outfit, she needs to just mind her business. So while all this is happening, a celebrity influencer on social media is posting a contest for the best small business, and she's going to give them like a cash prize. So both of them entered a contest, and both of them are like now competing with each other. At the same time, like, an attraction is budding and eventually a romance is going to ensue. I DNF'd this at 33%, so I never saw the romance ensue. I just saw them begin to start admitting to themselves that they found each other attractive. I DNF'd this because it was just so cringy. Like, I was reading it like, are you effing serious? Like, are you, like, be for real? Be for real. Like, it was just so cringy, and I just didn't want to read it. And this is the first book I DNF'd this year. The next book I DNF'd is a very, very soft DNF. It is Authentically, Uniquely You, Living Free from Comparison and the Need to Please by Joyce Meyer. Oh, I'll say the other book is sitting at a 3.88 on Goodreads, and this book by Joyce Meyer is sitting at a 4.39. This is like a Christian, I don't want to call it self-help, but it's like a Christian book, and I read this because my church was reading it in their book club, and the only reason why I DNF'd it was because I was listening to it on audio, and I don't know who the narrator is, if the narrator is the author or if it's a random narrator. I kind of feel like it's the author, but you can tell she used to smoke, and so she has like a smoker's voice, and I personally just did not want to hear a smoker's voice for however many hours this book was. So that's why I said it's a very soft DNF. I do plan to come back to this book sometime and just get a physical copy of it. Normally I wouldn't even read like Christian books on audio. I would read them physically so I can highlight and everything. But I was trying to finish the book quickly because I had a limited amount of time before my church's book club was meeting. So that's another one that I DNF'd. But like I said, a very soft DNF. The next book is The American Roommate Experiment by Elena Armas. This is the second book in the Spanish Love Deception series, and it is sitting at a 3.94 on Goodreads. I DNF'd this book at 11%. This book is about our main character. She goes to stay at her best friend's apartment because the ceiling in her apartment collapses, so it's like unlivable for a little period of time. So she goes to stay at her best friend's apartment because her best friend is out of town at her honeymoon. And while she's staying at her best friend's apartment, she hears this loud banging on the door, and she's like freaked out, thinking it's like a burglar or something like that. Turns out it is her best friend's cousin who's in town from Spain, and he's gonna go stay at his cousin's apartment also. Now, of course, our main character has a crush on her best friend's cousin, but her best friend's cousin doesn't know she has a crush on him. Are you following? And her crush is not even like a normal crush. Like, first of all, she's like 30 years old, 28, 30, like too grown to be acting like this. She is like stalking him on social media. She's like convinced herself she's like in love with this man, and she had never met him until like he came knocking on the door. So when he answered, she's just being like all weird and everything. I've also read the Spanish Love Deception, the first book, and in both of these books there's the same trend of like a very, very childish main character. Like, she does not read like someone who's 28, 30. She reads like someone who's like in high school, and I just felt like her stalking someone on social media and like convincing herself she's in love with them when she doesn't know them in real life was just like super weird to me. On top of that, she also lost her job and has been without a job for like 3 or 4 months, and she like refuses to tell her parents that she's lost her job. But it's like, you're a grown adult. What are they gonna do? They're gonna bend you over and spank you Are they gonna bend you over and spank you? Like, why can you not tell your parents that you lost your job? I don't get it. I really don't. I had the same complaint with the Spanish Love Deception, that the main character read kind of young, but it's like even worse in this book. And that's why at 11% I was like, you know what, I cannot do this. I was probably reading this book for like 2 weeks and hit 11% because each time I pick it up I would just get so annoyed at the main character and how childish she was. So I have zero plan on continuing that book. The next book is Ring Shout by P. the Jelly Clark. This book is sitting at a 4.05 on Goodreads and it's a fantasy horror book. This book is set in, I think, like the 1950s, maybe the mid 1900s or the early 1900s. But we have this group of like 3 or 4 black women in the South, and they are like demon hunters, but the demon that they hunt are these KKK monsters. So they hunt these KKK monsters, they kill them. The reason why I DNF'd this book is because I was listening to it on audio, and I'm about to stop listening to y'all and y'all tell me to listen to something on audio. Like, y'all be like, oh my gosh, the audio listening experience was amazing, and then it's not. Like, I was listening to this on audio and I really disliked it because it is horror, and so some of the like scenes are kind of graphic and gory and gross, and like hearing that read aloud I did not like. Personally, I like thrillers, I like reading thrillers, but I hate scary movies, and I think I might be the same way with horror. Like, I could probably read a horror, but seeing it I don't want to see it, and also hearing it I don't want to hear it. When you're just reading it on paper, it kind of creates a disconnect, and personally, because I am grossed out easily and a little bit scared easily, I need that disconnect, and so I just did not enjoy the audio experience for this. I do plan to continue this book one day, maybe next year during like Halloween time. I might pick it back up, but for now I DNF'd it, and it is a soft DNF. The next book is Good Girl Complex by L. Kennedy, and this is the first book in the Avalon Bay series. This book came out this year and it's sitting at a 3.6 on Goodreads, so it's not seated that high. This book, if I remember correctly, is about this guy who's a bartender, and he lives in this like rich kind of like post-college town or like vacation town, something like that. And one day this guy comes to the bar and he like either tries to fight him or embarrass him or something like that. So the bartender decides like, oh, I'm about to like steal his girl, and that is what I believe the book is about. I DNF'd this book at like 10 pages in, so I can't even count it as a book that I read because I legit read like 10 pages and I DNF'd it. I DNF'd this book, I don't really remember why. I think I just wasn't like vibing with it. Maybe it was a writing style I didn't like, but something about this book I just was not enjoying. Most people have not said good things about this book. I do know 2 booktubers who have spoken highly of the book, mostly because it's like very messy, I guess, and they like the mess, but even they don't recommend the book broadly. So I don't see myself picking up this book again, but it's another book that I DNF'd this year. And then the last book that I DNF'd this year, and also my most recent DNF, is Happy Hour by Marlo Granados. This book is sitting at a 3.66 on Goodreads, and it is a like coming of age slice of life story about 2 illegal immigrants that live in New York in an apartment together. They're probably like 22, 23, they're young. It's about relationships, friendships, food, partying, life in New York. That's what I took from it. I think I DNF'd it at 30%. The reason why I DNF'd this book is because the book was no plot, all vibes. And wait a second, I'm not opposed to no plot, all vibes. A book that I read earlier this year that I really enjoyed that was no plot, all vibes is Mary Jane. This book, however, like I just didn't see the point of it. I'm at the 30% mark and I still don't know like where we're going. I don't know what the point of the book is. I just didn't understand why I was reading the book. Like, there were lots of food descriptions, which I expect with the book being called Happy Hour, but I just didn't get the point, and I felt like I was wasting my time. Like, I read a good chunk, a good 30%, and I just didn't want to pick the book up anymore because it just was not appealing to me. So I ended up DNFing that book. I was a little bit sad that I DNF'd it because I actually originally saw this book on Amazon, and I saw that it was like a smaller author. I don't know if she's an indie author, but she's not a big author, and I was hoping that like if I liked the book, I could go ahead and like buy it on Amazon and support the author. And although I would love to support the author, it's not going to be with this book because it was just pointless in my opinion. So those are all the books that I DNF'd this year. 6 books in total. Let me know in the comments down below, what are some books that you DNF'd this year, and have you read any of the books that I DNF'd, and if so, what did you think about them? I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!